What is going on out there, peeps? Okay, so we have the Iraqi Dinar news update for the day. Are we talking rate change? I do believe we are. Iraq is talking about the rate change. Good or bad? Let's find out. Oh, psych. Real quick before we get into that, I have a Facebook group with the same name as the YouTube channel, Pimpy's Investment Chat. I will leave a link in the description. In here we talk about gold, silver, cryptocurrencies, and Jacera, Iraqi Dinar, and Vietnam Dong. All right, you guys, it's free to join. Come join us in here. If you have any questions and you're not sure what's going on, post in here your questions. There are a lot of knowledgeable people in here. All right, I try to get to all of them. It's almost impossible, but I try. All right. Also, we have the Hidden Things in Front of Your Eyes, which is another Facebook group that does deal with current events, politics, also those things that you might consider, conspiracy things, 9/11, false flag events, the whole 9 yards. All right. So the link for both of these will be in the description. I encourage you to come join us. It's free to do so. Let's get into what's going on in Iraq. Parliamentary finance warns against moving towards changing the dinar exchange against the dollar. 3 categories will pay the price. Well, let's take a look at this because I did talk about these before, and let's see if they are saying the same thing that I did. The Finance Committee of the Iraqi Parliament committed, while they commented on the news that a possible intention is to change the exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar within the expected financial reform law. The committees said in an interview with Baghdad that until now, we have not seen the draft of the financial reform law, but there are information and leaks. We report that there is an intention to change the exchange rate. Let me repeat that. Change the exchange rate of the dollar against the dinar. But we do not know its accuracy until the moment. As there are some deputies went for this option, and there is also a parliamentary opposition to this approach. So I don't know how they're going to be able to change the dollar against the dinar. They can change the dinar against the dollar. Very interesting. So what did they have in mind? Well, Safar said any devaluation of the dinar or dollar, you notice how they said it, one or the other. So the dinar, by devaluing it, would decrease their purchasing power, which is a no-no because it would cause inflation. The decrease of the dollar would increase the rate of the dinar. So any devaluation of the dinar or dollar will cause inflation in prices because it will reduce the purchasing power of the Iraqi dinar. Not true. And here are the affected people with limited income from employees, contracts, and renters will be affected, noting that within monetary policies, this is the last solution to the crisis. So no, okay, not both. So if you're going to cause inflation, is to devalue it. If you devalue the Iraqi dinar, that means it takes more money to buy what you could have normally have bought with less dinar. Does that make sense? That means you have to create more dinars. There's no way in God's green earth they're going to devalue the dinar. It's not going to happen because it affects the poor people. Okay? Increasing the purchasing power is what they need to do. So we'll get into this. The Economist warned Thursday of floating the Iraqi dinar against the dollar. This is reducing the value of the Iraqi dinar against the dollar, according to the proposal put forward by economists to provide additional funds for the Iraq budget to be paid as salaries of employees. No, they're going in the wrong direction. This article makes a good point why it should not be devalued, but makes more of a point why it should be increased in value. The issuance of any decision to float the dinar against the dollar in light of the current conditions in Iraq is very dangerous for the country, which is basically suffering from uncontrollable losses, namely fees, customs, taxes, and many other financial resources. The flotation does not consist an increase in the value or constitute an increase in the value of the Iraqi dinar, but rather we will see an increase in the exchange rate of the dollar because of the lack of its acquisition in the global market, especially with the decline in international oil prices. I don't think so. There's so many people that's been out there talking about the Iraqi dinar by slapping it on the market and letting it float. there would be a mad rush to people trying to buy more Iraqi dinar. It would cause a bump. The naysayers would be going, oh my God, it's happening. And they'll rush to try to buy some. It will cause the value to go up. That's just my opinion. The flotation will lead to a significant increase in price and will be paid by the poor, noting that the flotation is taken in light of the stable financial conditions of the state as well as the diversification of the economy and its dependence on resources other than oil. Would they need to increase the rate? I told you guys, look, if they're going to rebuild that country, they have to increase their purchasing power. They need to buy a lot of imports to get the supplies and materials needed to rebuild the country. If you devalue the currency, it's going to take more. It's going to cause a huge spike in inflation. Okay, so floating the dinar against the dollar is launching the process of buying and selling without any limits. Of course it is. That's why it's called a float. And the country faced an unprecedented rise in prices with limited and steady salaries. So conditions will be more difficult, especially in the humanitarian context. I don't think so. I told you there was an economist. First, my friend told me something I shared with you guys. And then an economist, like 6 weeks later, repeated what he said. They need to just go for the gusto. They need to use the money, increase the purchasing power to buy the things that they need to start rebuilding the country. Economists suggest reducing the value of the Iraqi dinar against the dollar by the value range of 1,300 to 1,400 dinars for every $1 to provide additional budget resources that allow part of the salaries to be spent, while others consider that any proposal float process may go out of control and cause significant increase in the price of the dollar against the dinar. A free float might be how you start off and then switch it over to a managed float. You want to make sure that you can somehow test how this affects the economy. You want to make sure that it doesn't somehow Nope, sorry, I already know. Reinstate the $3.22 rate. Reinstate it. Use that money to start importing all the supplies necessary to rebuild the country. You will recoup later on. So here's my thought on this whole process. How is this possible? How can they do this? I know how they could do this. I know how they can increase the rate and support it. As much as I want the Iraqi dinar and the Vietnam dong to go first before gold and silver, they can afford a rate change if there is a worldwide reset in the value of gold and silver. I told you that silver might be shooting up to somewhere around $300 an ounce is what the rumor is, and gold between $3,000 and $10,000 an ounce. If that's the case, then they definitely can afford a rate change, a pretty decent one. But that wouldn't be the actual settled value of gold and silver. It'll be much higher than that. All right, you guys, so it looks like they're already discussing rate change. They're kind of going back and forth. People are like, oh, why are they doing these articles? They're just trying to tease us. Oh, it's fake news. No, it's not fake news. I'm sure this is kind of stuff that they're kicking back and forth. Can they afford a rate change? Like my friend said, what's to stop them? Why not just come out and say it's 322? Iraq has nothing to lose right now. They need to rebuild their country. I'm agreeing with it, not because I want a rate change so I can profit off it, but no, I want that country rebuilt. I'm thinking both short and long term as far as investments are concerned. Joint operations revealed the beginning of significant coordinations between Baghdad and Erbil. What? Are they on the same page? They playing nice. The Joint Operations Command in the Iraq Army revealed on Thursday the beginning of a coordination that is described as significant between Baghdad and Erbil to maintain security in the country, while they need to figure out a way to stop Turkey from coming over and kicking the asses of Kurdistan, and they need to figure out a way to keep ISIS from coming over and kicking the asses of Iraq. The spokesman for the joint operations, Razul, the talks between Baghdad and Erbil are the beginning of a large coordination in order to maintain the security in Iraq. Baghdad and Erbil will have been holding talks for months to resolve the outstanding differences between them for years, led by resuming security coordinations and maintain security in the disputed areas, despite the two sides, or I shouldn't say despite, disputed areas between the two sides. Yeah, ISIS activity has increased markedly by the areas since the Peshmerga forces withdrew from the following escalation of tensions between Baghdad and Erbil against the backdrop of an independence reform in 2017. But don't forget, they had put together a task group that went over there and supposedly has took the remnants of ISIS and chased them out of there. So, this issue between Kurdistan and Iraq, it's going to be resolved. There's no way in God's green earth does Al-Qadimi come here to meet the president and not have this ironed out. If they want to have their sovereignty recognized, if they want to have the restrictions of the currencies removed, these things need to be ironed out. We need to get the thumbs up from our girl Blast-Heart over in the United Nations. All right, so this article is long. I would encourage you guys to come read it. All right, he pointed out that there will be a meeting between the end of this month to start work in a joint cooperation completely eliminating terrorism in this area. And I think they can do it. I really do. All right, so we're looking forward to that. In addition, in an indication of the return of coordination between Baghdad and Erbil, the Iraq government deployed yesterday, Wednesday, the border guards in an area of government that had recently been subject to Turkish bombing. I told you they can't have that issue going on with the Turkish people. Barzani stressed the need to solve outstanding problems with Baghdad. Yeah, both him and Al-Qadimi already need this. It seems to me if you just let the two work it out, they would have been worked out. But the fact that they have to rely on other members of parliament who are backed by Iranian puppets will constantly interfere because they profit from all of the chaos. We already know this. It's like the Democrats of Iraq and Kurdistan messing up everything anyways. President Barzani stressed that Thursday they need to solve outstanding problems. So this article is the same as most of the ones we've been reading. We know it needs to be done. They want to make sure that their salaries are taken care of. They want to make sure that the oil that they request needs to get there. They want to make sure that they're going to go ahead and enforce and follow their constitutional law that is 140. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so Al-Qadimi's businessman. Our doors are open to you in case you are blackmailed and bargain. What does that mean? Our doors are open to you. Hey, you want to do business on the crib side? We got you. Prime Minister Al-Qadimi stressed on Thursday the need for the private sector to pay taxes to boost state revenues, while noting that the government's doors are open in case they are subject to electronic blackmail. Al-Qadimi's office stated in a statement to the magazine. Here's what he stated. The current government is a government of consensus, solidarity, and national understanding to overcome the crisis and cross the Iraq to safety, and not a government to settle accounts so that it affects the provisions of services of the citizens and achieve what he aspires. But the target is the corrupt, and Iraq is going through today many challenges that come at the forefront. Corona pandemic, its repercussions on the economy, calling on all parties, unions, as well as the private sector and social activities to come together and cooperate to meet these challenges. So look, he's reaching out to people, man. So let's see here. He added, there are blackmail operations that the private sector is exposed to, and the government has deterrent measures to hold accountable and prosecute those who carry out blackmail and bargaining. As they should publicly hang them. That's what you should do. Hang them publicly, and guess what? It will discourage anybody else from doing that again. The doors of the Prime Minister's office are open to businessmen to present their complaints about any blackmail they may be exposed to and any corruption cases. It is a threat with all seriousness, and owners are legally pursued. Okay, good. As you should. We already know about this. So 3 months worth of salaries were already given and to them. So they have the salaries for July, August, and September. This is great. That's what we want to know. This article is big. They keep making the case for why you can't devalue the dinar, which we agree with 100% because we want them to increase the value of the dinar. But one of the ways they can afford that is to, as much as I want the RV or the RI, the reinstatement to go first, I have a feeling they ain't going to be able to do it without there being first and change in the value of gold and silver, man. But trust me, the gold and silver values are going to go up in increments. The first one is going to help the RI, RV, and then when we go back to the gold standard, it will go up again. But all right, you guys. So look, this is still good news. Like I said, the fact that they're even talking about it is what we want to see, is what we want to hear. All right. If you guys like the video, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel. And I surely do appreciate it. All right, you guys. Have a good one.